name is Steve. Welcome to my shop. Before I get started, I want to thank all of my subscribers, all the new subscribers. I've had quite a few new subscribers over the past couple of weeks. I'd like to thank them, and I'd like to thank everybody that has liked and commented on my videos. This video is part 3 of the Keith Fenner What's in Your Box 2017 toolbox build, and I am building tap wrenches which have a range of, I would say, 1/4 inch through 3/8 inch. It's a little bit heavier than the one that Emma Ritson is doing from Emma's Spare Room Machine Shop. It's a little larger than that one. I expected this part 3 to be the final section. However, Bozo has visited my shop and he's hung around for a while. So in this video I'm going to just be, I want to get a video out, so I'm going to be doing the thimble. This is the tap wrench here. This is the original, the prototype that I picked up at a flea market. And this piece here I'm calling the thimble. That's the piece that I am going to be doing in this part. And that puts pressure on a jaw that goes through the handle. It's indexed in the handle in a slot with a pin that's spring loaded. And that closes in on the tap to hold the tap in place. So in part 4 I'll be building the jaw, and I'll be drilling it and cutting the bird's mouth in it and finishing it up. So the first thing that happened when I went to thread one of the blanks, here's the blank, I don't know how I did it, but this is supposed to be 1/2 inch on this end, and it ended up undersized, so scrap metal. Number 2, when I was threading them, they were turning out beautiful, and this was the one, actually I was threading this one on video, and I was paying more attention to the video camera than I was what I was doing. And I went to do my final spring pass, and I wasn't looking at the thread dial, and I engaged it incorrectly and went right across the top of the threads and destroyed them. So now after I got them cleaned up, they're much too undersized to use. So there was strike number 2. So on the handles that I had left, I started working on them. This was threaded. It's actually the one that the knurl came out the best on the handle. It was my favorite piece. And I was very, very deliberate about the depth of the hole that I drilled for that jaw. And on 3 of the pieces, I drilled the hole too deep, and so when I go to file the bird's mouth, I've still got a hollow behind it. Strike number 3. So in an effort to get another video out, I wanted to, I'm just going to do these thimbles. So enjoy the video, and thank you for watching. part that I'm making now is what I'm going to call the thimble, and this threads onto the handle. It's knurled, and then there's a jaw that goes in here, and the thimble closes in to capture the tap. So that threads in there and closes up on the jaw. So this thimble is what I'm making now. I'm cutting it out of a piece of stress proof like I'm using for the rest of the project, and because I'm working with a small lathe here, I have to cut. It's not the most efficient way to do it, but I've had to cut the pieces off, and I've left just enough on them to get a good bite. We'll start out facing it off and center drilling it. Turning it down to 575 thousandths. 570, 574.5. That should be just about perfect. Now the next step is to knurl this. I don't mind telling you that knurling has really been giving me a fit. I've done a lot of knurling in my career, but not a whole lot of it has been for decorative purposes. So I really wasn't so concerned about the finish. Most of what I have done for knurling has been for sizing. And I got a clamp type knurling attachment for this lathe because it's a light duty lathe and you can't really push against it too well. But what's been happening is that the whole tool post was twisting and I could not stop it. I couldn't get it tight enough. So what I ended up doing is actually putting some Loctite, some green Loctite between the tool post and the compound, and that has stopped the rotation on it. So once I'm done with this knurling operation, I'll have to break that bond, but I don't think that'll be too difficult. I want to give a shout out to Joe Pazinski, who's got a YouTube channel, and he recently did a series on knurling, and it really has been very helpful. And I've gotten this down to a point that I'm very satisfied with it. The material that we're using on this, I had mentioned before, is stress proof, and it's hard. It's about a 25 Rockwell C, and so it's a tough knurl, but I've got it down. I'm using lots of oil, running the lathe, of course, in back gears. And let's get it set up and get started. Plenty of oil. The rollers that came with this knurling attachment were totally worthless. One of them actually flattened right out. The first time I used it, it flattened out. Apparently it had not been hardened. And fortunately, in my bag of tricks, I had a brand new pair of Armstrong knurling rollers that were fairly coarse, and make sure you keep plenty of oil working on it. And if you watch Joe's video, he talks about the bevels on the edges, and you'll notice that these have a bevel on each edge so that I can traverse with them. Turned out pretty good. I'm happy with that. Now I'll go back up to speed. And I cut this diameter down to 150,000 or 550 thousandths, so that I get a nice sharp edge on the knurl and machine right up to the edge of the knurl. Okay, I'm at 552, so I'm going to leave it at that. I'll be doing some polishing and so on, and that'll finish that off. Okay, the next step is to drill it, because it has to be drilled and tapped. It's a half 20 thread. I have a drill stop on my drill to control the depth of it. I'm going about 1 1/4 inch, 1 3/8 deep total. So I have to reset my drill because I can only go about 1 inch deep with this quill. Now I'm drilling it out to 29/64, which is the drill size for the 1/2" 20 thread. Next, I'm going to power tap. Perfect. Fits great. I'll part it off and get it ready for the next operation. next operation will be to put it back in the chuck and round off this edge. I cut up to the knurl here and then round this off. So I've got one more to do, and then we'll come back and finish it off. Final operation on the thimbles is to turn this end. I want to make sure that they're all uniform length. The knurls are fairly uniform length, and then I'm going to put a little radius on it. So I wrapped a piece of aluminum around the knurl to put it in the vise, and I'm lining up the knurl with the edge of the face of the vise so that I have a uniform length on the stick out. Now the length of the knurl ends up being 1.5 inches, and the overall length from the face is going to be 1 5/8 inches. So I've got to turn it down to, it's going to dress up this edge because that's already at 1.5 inches, and then I'm going to make a mark to 1 5/8 inches. Okay, so my blue mark is at, once I remove the blue on that, I'll be at 1 5/8 inches overall. Now I'm going to take my 60° and put a bevel on the edge. And now take and finish it off with a file. Just round those edges off. And that finishes it off. It's got a round end on it. The knurls have a nice defined edge. I've got 3 more to go. This wraps up part number 3 of Keith Fenner's What's in Your Box 2017 Toolbox Giveaway Tap Wrench Build. In part 4, which will be the final, I promise it will be the final, I'll be building the jaw and the cutting the bird's mouth in it to hold the tap, and finishing them up and getting them ready to ship out to Keith. I hope to have them done before he gets back from vacation. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe. Give me a thumbs up and comment. I really enjoy the comments, and I try and respond to every one of them. Thank you for watching.